But to Captain's latest comment there, yes, a lot of our good documents start with "we the people," but all adults here. We are not a democracy. It is not one person, one vote. That's not the way we operate.
Which is really interesting because one of the things that I harp on a lot of times here is I always take things back. Okay, so the power of advancement, the power to change, those are mass, right? Those are the masses. Any big change we've ever had in this country has always been done by a mass of people. It's never been done by an individual.
Right.
However, all of those masses are comprised of individuals. So, as an individual, what do you actually stand for? And what I view is one of the big problems is people don't ever ask themselves that question because our society is built in such a way that you don't have to. So, people don't really stand for anything. They literally just kind of glide through life, um, focusing
Mhm.
on whatever, make more money or um, families happy and safe, whatever it is, but you're never really held to who are you as an individual and what do you personally stand for. And because we don't do that to ourselves and each other, it allows for some of these things to go on. So, like, whenever you hear someone, to me anyway, whenever I hear someone say that they are a constitutionalist or a originalist, or whatever that the other third term that they use, I already know that they're a problem because the Constitution is an aspirational document. It
Mhm.
was literally written to speak to a better version of the country than currently exists and built in processes for you to go back to it and fix it,
That's great.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's to ever say that you're going to be an originalist is a problem because you are literally saying we're going to go back to a time that does not even relate to this time and do what they would have done. That's a bogus argument. That's like saying I am going to go with whatever a 5-year old says, even though because when we were all five, we made this decision, and now that we're 40, we're going to rely on the decisions that were made when we were five and why we made them at age 5. I don't see how that makes sense in anyone's world. But that's what happens when you hear people talking about we're going to do it how it was originally intended. We the people was not about all the people.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Um, they were not. I mean, some were religious and some were not. Um, and so when they say they're imbued by the Creator with inalienable rights, which is in the Bill of Rights, they weren't necessarily saying a Christian God or a
Right.
Muslim God or anything else. They were just saying God, whatever God that is. Very what's that term when you're like Christian kind of?
Nationalist?
No, no, no. Like you're not an atheist because you believe there
Agnostic.
is
Oh,
an
agnostic.
agnostic. It's a very agnostic approach, right? But people do power plays, and this is what we're dealing with. And we live in a nation that is so free and so privileged and so blah 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 that we have some of the lowest voting participation rates in the world. Oh, this is what I was going to say, and I'll stop. Gerrymandering is one of the reasons why the Democratic Party has such a terrible uh, history of communicating with the masses, because the Democrats come out and they say simplistic things like
Mhm.
just vote, and the problem there is you are pretending as though those who do not vote are just apathetic dumbasses, and they're not. Some of them are. Many of them are not.
Mhm.
Many of them have looked at the system and they hear you say just vote, like that's the whole strategy, just vote, as though gerrymandering isn't a problem, corruption isn't a problem, lackeys are not a problem, you know. And that's why, like Tracy, I hear the third party. They try to get that. They try to say that to people, right? Like the system's messed up. Y'all need to look at fixing some things. I'm not necessarily agreeing with most of what's been put forward by the third parties as a solution, but their voice is critically important because the Republicans and the Democrats are just lying to people. And I yield.